Girl, I'm confused.
Yeah, me too.
Wait, let's ask Chat.
Hi.
Hey guys, we are back with another episode.
Yes, thank you guys so much for joining us. Welcome to episode 5 of Let's Chat GPT. I'm so excited about this one. Today we're going to have a lot of deep, interesting topics to dive into. I think we're both going to end up in some kind of spiritual psychosis by the end of it with everything that we're going to talk about. But today we're going to be exploring the concept of free will versus predestined, or the concept of destiny.
Yeah, this one's a big one because, as you guys know, we've talked about it quite a bit, but we're pretty big into manifestation. And manifestation is literally all about creating your reality. It's about you being in control of your world, your reality, and the life that you want. But at the same time, we're always making choices. We are constantly having to make decisions. Should we live here? Should we live there? Should we study this? Should we study that? Should we date this person? Should we not date this person? So the question is, like, is everything really just like predetermined, or are we in control completely of our lives? Like, what's the deal? So we just wanted to talk about it, and then I guess like a little bit about our own personal experiences, like our own personal beliefs, and then also leave you guys with some questions to consider that you can drop in the comments later.
Yeah, just some, an exploration, I guess, of some of the more difficult or more like open-ended questions that I know that everybody gets to a point in their life where they start to question that, like questioning your path or your existence and how it relates to the world that you live in and stuff like that. So it can get kind of, it's always very open-ended and uncertain because nobody really knows the answers for sure, but it's kind of like us exploring the ideas together and then also just sharing our unique perspectives and seeing if we discover anything, and having Chat also maybe guide us in ways that help us to figure out our own personal beliefs a little bit more and whatever.
Yeah, and also we might ask Chat what they think. If they have a...
Yeah.
Of course, they're probably not going to have an answer, but it'd be curious to know what AI believes in.
And like what ideas are already out there, what concepts, because again, sometimes the questions you've asked have been asked like 100 times before you, and there's like people that are like, oh, I thought about this too, and this is what I came up with, and whatever. So I'm really excited about this one. It's going to be interesting. But I think we're going to have Chat kind of guide us a little bit more than usual with this one.
Yeah, I think it's a lot to cover, so we... as we utilize Chat, we did kind of ask, like, how should we even go about a topic like this? Like, what questions should we be thinking about? What questions should we be asking? And Chat definitely said to just start a little bit about, like, our personal stories. So I guess, Amna, I'm going to ask you, have you ever felt like something was, like, truly meant to be in your life?
Let me think about this. I feel like it really depends on like the stage of life that you're in too, because right now, I think I said this to you earlier, like off camera, but I'm feeling like I'm in such like a logical headspace right now, but there definitely, I think that what I've seen in my life and like my personal experience has definitely been more of like how you will experience synchronicities in your life when you do put your mind to something. And I think that there's doors that will like fly open for you because it is the door you're meant to go through. And I think that you can sit there and like knock at a door for a really long time and try to pry it open, and like no matter what you do, it will never be meant for you. But you can like decide for yourself the like where you're gonna put your energy. Like I think it's like co-creation. Co-creation is like my favorite thing that like I've come to accept, because that is kind of how I see it, because it's like you do have the choices So you can make the choice, but it's kind of like a video game. It's like levels. You can get stuck at the first level because you're not following the path that's going to get you to the second level and defeating this. You can just sit there and play around at that level and never get the point and whatever. But if you go and you do the right thing, you get to the second level and you learn something new and you get, but it's like if you don't actually like develop the skills or learn the lesson, you actually could repeat the cycle. And I think it's like there are things out there in the world that are for you, but you could honestly go throughout your whole life and never access them if you don't take the path that gets you there. So I think it's like you decide how far you'll go is what I see. Like I do think there's things that are meant for you. I think there's things that just will never be meant for you, but I think that the amount that you experience in your life is completely up to how far you're willing to go. Like, if you want to be stuck at this level, no one's gonna, you will. I do think like eventually you get pushed in certain directions and stuff, but you could get just, like, I do think it also depends on your willingness to like access certain levels. Like there's probably like the highest you can go, or there's like there's all these versions of yourself and you tap into the timeline that you like want. I guess that's kind of how I see it right now. I would say there's definitely a lot of things that have happened in my life where I'm like, that was crazy. Like it's just like I wanted it, I thought about it, it happened, it fell together, and I was like, this was definitely like where I'm supposed to be because it's just happening and stuff. And I do think that like people cross your path for a reason, and I do think that like, what you experience is always going to be like unique to your path and stuff, but I don't know that I'm like, yeah, that's like what I believe, basically.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it's not like a simple like yes or no, like,
and it never is. No.
and that's why this topic is like such a great topic to discuss, because like the possibilities are genuinely endless. And
well, what about you? Yeah,
I feel like I resonate with a lot of what you're saying. I do think that like there are things that are meant to be, and I have felt like things were like truly meant to be, like either my experiences or meant to, like I was meant to meet that person. And it could be something as simple as like one of my bosses, like we were born 2 days apart, like same year, like same month, just literally like 2 days apart. And I'm like, that's crazy, especially because she said I reminded her of herself like during the interview process. And it's like, well, no shit, like we're both like Geminis, etc.
Yeah.
Or like just things where it's like, okay, of course, like I'm meant to be in this job because like the founder has the same like-mindedness as me. So yeah. I 100% do think that like I have felt that things have happened for a reason and there were things meant for me. And I was also just kind of thinking about like if everything's meant to be, because you can think that like things are meant to be, but not everything's meant to be. And there have been times where I was like, oh well, that wasn't meant to be, like that happened because I was being a dumbass, like I like got myself in that situation, so of course it like worked out crappily because I put myself there. So like how could I sit here and say that that was meant to be? But then like the other side of that is that like maybe like that was predetermined, predestined for you to grow and to learn that lesson, because there have been times where I thought like I could have gone my whole life without that experience, but like I wouldn't know that because I went my life with that experience. I actually don't know how, if I didn't have that like negative or like perceived negative or bad experience, I don't know how my life would be without that experience. I don't know if I was meant to pass that story down to someone else. I don't know if I was meant to get like that person that was kind of the bad part of my story, if they were meant to think of their actions, So yeah, I guess I would say that I have felt like things were meant to be, and I felt like things happened to me that weren't meant to be, but maybe they still were. Like my feelings might not be valid sometimes as well.
Well, also, like, I think that if the past version of yourself took that action, then, I guess I don't really like I think when people say, like, meant to be there, like, the whole premise of the question is, like, are we in control or not? That's, like, what people want, right? Like, that's, like, the answer. It's, like, am I just, like, walking the path and, like, experiencing things or whatever? And, like, I just don't think that that's true. I think like, we obviously all make choices, but I think that there's things that are like aligned for you, whatever. And it's like in that sense of like, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, was this negative thing like meant for me or not meant for me or whatever, but it's like that past version of yourself aligned with that thing for a reason. You know, like there was a purpose that you maybe like were in that environment making those decisions and having that experience or whatever. And like I think it's more about like the things that you can't control in life and the things that you can control in life, if that makes sense. Some things are out of your control, and those things are probably just part of your journey that's like predestined because you can't control them. But then there's so many things that are under your control, and I think it's like that's why it's co-creation, because there's so much of our life that's like uncertain that you just have to like leave it up to, you know, whatever your belief is, leave it up to God or the universe or whatever. But there's so much of it that's like you did that. Like you wake up and you have like we've been given a certain amount of control, and it's like, what do you do with that, you know?
Yeah.
So that determines your path.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get what you're saying. The things I were thinking are a bit more like
Heavy.
Heavy. Like things that like you would never wish on another human in like a million years. So it's like, and like to your point of like, that happened and it was probably predestined. Like that was just out of your control. So
yeah,
maybe there are some things where we just genuinely don't have free will. Like
yeah, and I think like perspectives will also differ depending on like your life experience, because it might be really like for us, like it might be, or like for people that are a little bit in more privileged like circumstances, it's easy to be like, oh, like let me sit and ponder like my free will and my choice, because we've been given the privilege of like having enough freedom. But then there's people that are like on the other side of the world that don't even have a choice of what kind of life to live, whatever. And it's like, how can you look someone like that in their face and say like, oh, this is your predestined fate? Like, but in reality, like they didn't have control over when they were born, where they were born, who they are, like whatever. So it is kind of like a hard thing, because I would love to like have a conversation with someone that's in a circumstance that's so different than ours and see what their take is. Because for us, like me and you, we grew up in the same place. Like, yes, we had different upbringings and we have our differences, but at the end of the day, like we're still in a percentage that's very similar of like the opportunities and stuff like that we, and whatever privileges that we have. I think we're like, you know, there's differences, but it's still, there's people that are so different to us, and I'm like so curious what their thoughts would be on the topic, because I just think that we're always going to come from a place of like we have the freedom to sit around and like think about, like we have so much more choice than some people that are given no choice, if that makes sense. And then what do they think?
Like, what would someone who like, oh, my brother got murdered, you know, like what would?
Well, no, I'm about like Palestinians right now, like that's like what, or like people that are in a, like, not to take it there, but like I'm just thinking of people that literally are born into a state of chaos, like those kids or something. Like what, they have no choice as to like who they are, where they were born, the time and whatever, and they're just like a number in this thing. But it's like, how would they think about, you know, like how is someone in a circumstance like that gonna think about that, you know?
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, I think it's almost a privilege to even, like, ponder it, because it's, like, there's people that are probably just, like, this is my life and I have no choice, and I don't know, like, are they destined to be there, or is everything just cause and effect? Is everything just, like, a collaboration?
That's a good question. Like, is it that people were meant to have their fate already decided for them, and maybe some people have that free will until they're in control of their fate, you know? Because I do think that people who are like in war-torn countries, or who are like, who have been like raped, or who have had like major tragedies, or who have been abused, like as a kid, I don't think that they would ever say like, I'm in control of my fate. Like maybe they would say, this is like, this was given to me, this was handed to me from the world. But then like, I can sit here and say like, oh, I think that there's a lot more free will than we think there is, and we're co-creators of our reality. So like, you're right, is a privilege, but then it's also like, maybe some people, this is all just like us guessing and all like us just discussing.
Of course,
Maybe some people were meant to be co-creators of their reality, and some people were fated to be martyrs.
Yeah, or like even if, well, it's like maybe, well, I think like every human being has the same power to co-create, but we're just all in different circumstances of like, like you don't get to choose where you're born, you don't get to choose who you are, you don't get to choose your story until you're, old enough to, I guess, like, or whatever, until you hit a point of maybe recognizing, like, what power do I have in my life that I can, like, act on? Like, I think we all have that. Like, anybody can act on it, but maybe some people's, like, stories are more difficult than others and, like, whatever. But yeah, anyway, not to like take it there, but that's just kind of like what I think about because I'm like, I don't know. I think, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to say, but like a thought just popped into my head, like about, I'm very much like alive and well on like spiritualist Twitter.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was like a mom who had like, I don't know, like lost a baby or something, or like was in a car accident and like their baby passed like from the car accident, and they had another child, and then that child's like 4 or 5, and it's like, oh, I remember the car accident, mom. Like I
Yeah.
remember, and mom's like, what? Like that was my like other baby, and you're just, it does make you wonder. There's been a lot of stories like that, or like from like a mother talking to her toddler that's like, oh, like remember when we used to like play in the sand, and mom's like, oh, I did that with my grandma. Like,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
also think that there's a lot of things that are genuinely probably just meant to be no matter what. Like, maybe like the mom who did lose like the baby and had another baby, maybe that was the path. And it doesn't mean it's easy. Like, there's like, everyone has a hard life. Like, some people have harder lives than others. Some people have like extremely hard lives, but maybe like everything is genuinely meant to be, and you never know like what is going to happen after that, no matter how dark or negative like that experience that was meant to be is.
hmm Like everything's a part of a system. I get like, yeah, I with the whole story, like the toddler story, I feel like, well, I think for me, like the things that I keep in my mind is like, yeah, we're all functioning in like a bigger system and we don't like know. Like there's a book that I read by Wayne Dyer who like I really like his stuff, but he was talking about how like the cells in your body don't know that they're a cell in your whole body. You know what I mean? Like it is like one blood cell in your body has a function, has a role, does its thing. It's not like conscious of the fact that it's a part of a full body that makes up you. And he was talking about how people are the same way. Like we are all a part of a larger body, of a larger like collective consciousness and collective system, but we don't, there are people that recognize it like as you come to like be more aware of yourself and you start to recognize how you are part of a system, you start to feel that like collective, and like you start to recognize how your energy, like I guess what am I trying to say, like not resonates, but it like dang, like adds to the collective, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Damn,
Yeah.
I need to think of the word that I'm trying to say. It's kind of like adds to it, but it's, anyways, whatever. But yeah, how your energy adds to that whole collective energy and how you play your role in the collective, basically. So I think it's like that same concept of like, we are all one or whatever, like every single person, like no matter how much you think that you're, like I just love the way that he explained it. But he also was talking about like cancer, and it's like people that are murderers or rapists or anyone who acts as if they are separate from the whole is actually just like a cancer in society. So like even with war and greed and all of these things, it's like they're cancers of the system, because like if you have a cancer in your body, it's a cell within your body that functions as a like separate from the body, and it tries to destroy it without realizing it's destroying it. And like for me, I know that like a lot of people think that if you're like into science stuff, or like there's always this idea that like scientists or people that are really like in that space are like anti-spiritualism because it's like super logical, but I literally feel the opposite, because anytime I learn anything about like science and our body, our brain, our genetics, how everything works, it blows my mind, because I'm like, how could you not believe in like intelligent design when you study the way that the things work in our world? Like everything in our world like functions so like effortlessly, and it's like crazy. Like I'm like, how come like this bird knows exactly what to do to this. It's like everything's just happening around you in this like organic way, even within your own body. Like what you eat breaks down and it fuels you, whatever. And it's like, how are all these things knowing what to do to fuel you? And like, I don't know. I just feel like there's so much that we don't know, but I'm like, we're a part of a bigger system and we're a part of something so much larger than like what we can even recognize. And people that are destructive towards society or are destructive towards like that or move in a destructive way are just so detached from that truth, like the truth of the fact that you are a part of something bigger and your impact is like tremendous, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why, like, I think it's crazy that we have borders. Like,
Yeah, it's like made up.
we're all, yeah, it's literally man-made. Like, we're all human beings. Like, we're all a part of this earth. Like, what do you mean, like you're Canadian and I'm American? Like, we're all human. What do you mean that, like, I need a visa to see a part of this earth?
What do you mean I need a visa to live in my dreamland? Like, let me in.
Like, that's insane. Like, I feel like society has like advanced so much, like in infrastructure and technology, but like I feel as though we are lacking in humanity. Like, we are still so
Yeah.
behind in what it means to be human. And
Yeah.
that is like, that's honestly one of our biggest downfalls, and it's showing right now that that will be our biggest downfall, like with the environment, as we discussed a couple of episodes ago. Like, the people who are on top don't care about the collective enough to save the
Yeah.
environment. The people
Yeah.
who are like president right now don't care about the collective enough to like make a beautiful society for everyone existing in America, to make beautiful, peaceful relations with other countries, because we're all, like you said, we're all one. So
Yeah.
it's really like disheartening.
Yeah, it's like we're trying to evolve. I think that like as a society, we don't realize like time is passing and like each generation is not like a repetition of like, you know, like we are in evolution. Every generation that's coming, like we are in an evolution, like time is passing. We're creating new things. So we are supposed to be moving towards like evolution as a society. Like the things that we've learned now we've never known before, so we have all this new information. You know, it's even like within yourself, like self evolution. It's like you could go through life and be complacent and never learn, or you could be taking in new information every day and getting better and better and evolving towards like your highest, greatest self. And again, as a collective, I feel like it's the same thing. Like as a collective, we are at a point like right now in history where we have the most information we've ever had in our life. We are like like everything is new. Like we've never been here before. So we have the power to use all of the energy and all of the intelligence and everything that we've gained to evolve in whatever direction we want to take things. You know, like we have that power. So it is scary to think that the people that are in the highest like positions of power may not be taking it there. But I was gonna say, to the things that you were saying, there's a book called Sapiens, which you should read or listen to the audiobook, because it's such a good book. But it talks about, because you were talking about borders, and I was kind of like in my head, I'm like, I totally get where you're coming from, but at the same time, like things like that exist more. It's like historical, cultural things. Like I understand that now it's like easy to be like, oh well, we shouldn't have borders, we shouldn't have this, but like those things became in existence through the evolution of history. So like in the book Sapiens, he talks about like how we went from like being like cavemen, Homo sapiens, to being the like top species on the planet and like whatever. So like for me, like I think about like, yeah, the concept of borders now, because we are at a point of evolution, we should be moving away from that. We should be moving away from these concepts. But like the fact that we exist in a point in history where they exist like makes sense to me, because that's like our history, you know, like that's our cultural history and our like the history of the time of humanity. So it's not going to go from like, we were cave people, we had to fight for resources. In order to do that, we had to break out our territories, and then wars happened, and then your culture is different than my culture, and I believe this and you believe that, and all this stuff happened to bring us here. And we're not going to all of a sudden be like, okay, you know what, we've been stupid for the past whatever years. It's like we're building off like what has already come before us. So the fact that you're having that thought now is like what is meant to be. Like, to me, that's how I see it. I'm like, it's now you are in a position where you are able to like complete the work of your ancestors, complete the work of the people of the past, right? Like, that's how we're like continuing our like, because people talk a lot about like, you know, my ancestors, but I'm like, no, but seriously, like, it's like we are all like continuing the legacies of the generations before us. Like, that is why we're here. And like, we all get a limited portion of time, and you can create with that the legacy that you'll leave, whether you're a homeless person on the street or Donald Trump or whatever. Like, we are all leaving our trace on the world and whatever, like playing our part in the system.
Wow.
That's a lot. No, okay. No, but that book is so good. Like, you really should read it.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're definitely right. And I do understand like the idea, like I do understand like culture, and if you like, especially Europe, like you could go to Spain, cross the border to France, and it's like completely different customs, culture, like food, etc., etc. So maybe like borders are fine, but maybe just like open borders, like human to human, like all humans are welcomed here, but everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, but that's just like life and regulations and whatever, you know? Like, I feel like that is, I understand what you're saying, but I'm like, the frustration with that would just be like, okay, this is a system that's been put in place. And like, obviously, I massively disagree with like, I guess the hoarding of resources or the like, not like you said, open border, like having a process is like fair. Like, it's fair for a country to be like, I just want to know who's coming in and out, because if people are just coming in and out, you know, that's like anarchy, which like if you're an anarchist, like I'm totally with it, like libertarian or whatever, like I don't care. But where it's like no government, but you know, like that's just like regulatory, but it's like, are we hoarding resources? Are we being a-holes and just like not allowing for there to be like growth and like for people to have opportunities that deserve opportunities and whatever? I honestly will say that I don't like talking about politics or any kind of like economics or systematic things, just because I'm like, I don't feel like I read or know enough about it, because it's really easy to just be like an idealist, you know, and just be like, why can't everyone just like love? Like, why can't we all just like love and be like in peace? And it's like, okay, there has to be like laws and regulations for certain things. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I just don't know enough to know.
Yeah, I think
I mean,
that
it's my belief, but you know what I mean.
yeah, no, of course. And I do think that there's a good balance as well. And I think a lot of laws and regulations take the humanity out of a lot of things. And
I
I
agree.
think that's the issue. Like, I think too much on one side will always cause like a problem, but it's the fact that now, like, at least in the States, like, it's all just like very imbalanced. And it's like,
Yeah.
where is the love? Like, where is the like care and concern for other people? Where is the care and concern for people who have migrated here? Like, we
Yeah.
need to still have that like love, but of course, like protecting like people. Like, it's
Yeah.
always about protecting people. Like, no one's greater or above another person just because they've like come from another country or speak a different language.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's such like an American way of thinking, is like Americans are like it's funny. I know Europe still has like that to a certain degree, but I still think in Europe it's like so diverse that everyone's like, it's not strange to have a different culture, and everyone like will stereotype and be racist and be like, oh, Germans do this and Austrians do this and whatever, but at the same time it's like they recognize the other cultures exist, and they recognize that it's like a beautiful thing, and like like, you know, everyone's like, speak three languages, and like they expect you to be from somewhere different, but like here it's like, you're not an American, like that's weird, like get out, you know, like that's just, it's even in more diverse areas, I think it's still like just not as diverse as and dense as Europe. Anyways, I think we're getting a little bit, I love this topic, but I think it is a little off topic. So I want to ask you, what do you think about like timelines, or in terms of like, there's a lady that I watch on YouTube. Her name is, I think it's Bredhiana Teachings, something like that. I will link it in the description, because I love all the videos that she does. But sometimes she does videos where she's talking about like your ancestral lines and like Akashic records or Akashic records. I don't know if you've ever heard of that and stuff. And she kind of like, whenever she gets to talking about stuff like that, I feel like uncertain. But then when I learn about like the genetic code and stuff and like how crazy it is, how much can be transferred, like even like the way your mom feels when she's pregnant can be like imprinted on your genetic code and stuff. So I'm like really curious what your thoughts are on that, or like your beliefs are on that.
Yeah, no, I like fully believe it. Like I once asked my mom like what was the day of my birth like? Like how did everyone feel? Like who was there? Because I was like doing a lot of like inner child healing and came across like a teacher that was like this is important. Like if you don't know, you should know because that's all like in a way determining who you are, determining what you're processing even as like a little baby. And I also asked my mom how she felt when she found out that she was pregnant with me too, because like you said, like that's important. And I'm like a huge believer. Like I just believe in all of that. I also think that we like choose our like soul family and we choose our family. And I remember someone once told me that when I think I was in either Thailand or Indonesia. And like I met this like woman and she was like very spiritual and I wasn't like too spiritual yet. I was like kind of spiritual and she was like, we choose our parents. And I was like, that's silly. Like
Yeah.
I would never choose like an absent father.
Hey girl. Well, I forgot to choose a dad, so
Yeah.
you're like, I must have forgot to fill out the form.
Or like a mother that like like caused me like a lot of like grief and sadness like in my like teenage years and everything. I was like, who would choose that? But then like I did a bit more research and I learned also just about like soul contracts and like what you've set out to do on this earth. And I was like, you know what, like actually like for me I'm like that makes sense. Like you need to choose who you need to choose to be who you need to be. So it's like for me, like my soul was like, I probably need more resilience. Maybe a past life of me was like a little bitch or something.
I needed to learn how to deal, how to cope.
Yeah, how to deal and come back.
Maybe you would never walk this path if you didn't go through that trauma. And I've always felt that way. Like certain like adversity pushes you for growth. Like a life with no adversity is like you're the most boring, characterless human. But I mean obviously you don't want it to be like truly traumatizing, but I'm just saying your traumas do also build your strengths. Eventually.
Yeah, literally. And so it's like you set out to do something on this earth and sometimes like that does come with that like trauma, that adversity, that like low point in your life that like you actually did sign up for it, like your soul signed up for it. And I have always kind of felt like no matter like how low I am, I'm reminded of this like one quote that's like your soul knows the plan and knows all is well. And like anytime I've been like upset or sad or like at the police station like reporting a crime or something like that, like I've always felt like this is like for my journey, like this is for me to get stronger, this is for me to share my story. This is for me, like sometimes I've always thought like, oh, this is gonna make a really good story one day, things like that. And so it's like I do think that like with soul contracts, with us like choosing who our soul family is, like choosing who our like actual family is, I do think that that's all honestly like predetermined. And I think it's predestined. And I once like, you've seen that chart where I like group all the people I've met into like
soul fam. Yeah.
And it's like that's my like soul family, and I feel as though like the people before me, they also were like preparing for this moment for me to be born, like they say that your ancestors can communicate to you in different ways, whether that's through the earth, through a dream. I personally like haven't necessarily like tapped into that. Like I don't think I've ever really like attempted to communicate with my ancestors or like felt as though like they wanted me to like
I don't know why.
What, because they were slaves or something?
No, I just thought that was funny to like think about trying to do that and then being like, I don't know, because it's like, like I'm just imagining like me sitting there trying to meditate, and being like, hello, like.
out
And they're
there.
like, girl, shut up. Or my brain just starts making stuff up that I want to like believe, and they're like, I don't know, like so. But yeah,
So I've never like attempted that. So like as much as I do like feel like I do believe in like ancestors and everything,
yeah.
I've not like gone down that path.
Wait, you said what? Because they were slaves or something? Like, no, my brain did not go there, but that's hilarious. We're gonna have to cut that out. Immediate defensiveness. That's too much. Oh my god. Okay.
But Akashic Records, like I saw that in a Charmed episode, and I've
What
seen
is it? Like, I don't know.
So from what I understand, and like maybe we can ask chat, but like it's about like the secrets like of the world, like all of the like hidden secrets, like everything that we're basically trying to decode and like discover now. So that's like my understanding of it.
Okay. Wait, okay, I have a question for you because this is something that I feel like in my life I've experienced. It's like kind of related to what you were saying with like soul family or just in general. Like, I think that now I've had this idea where I feel like when you first meet someone or like cross paths with a person, like we meet so many people all the time and like sometimes you have really deep connections with people. It's hard to explain. And sometimes you're like really disconnected or whatever. And I feel like I have this idea where it's like when you first meet someone, you already know what you've like the future with, like you've already been through like everything that's ever happened. Like especially when you talk about quantum physics, whatever, it's like everything that's ever happened has already happened or whatever. Like time doesn't really exist. It's just like whatever. So it's like when you meet a person at this point in time, everything that's happened with them has already happened.
Yeah.
So when you meet them, the way that you feel sometimes is like it's you've already had, you know what I mean? Like I feel like when you're meeting someone, you're not meeting them for the first time. You're like reconnecting in a sense, or like you're crossing paths with someone where what has happened has already happened. So sometimes the way that you feel, it's like kind of a predestined thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but I've like felt that where I'm like sometimes you like have like you meet someone but you've had history with them, if that makes sense, and the history is that whatever's about to happen has already happened, or that like maybe in a not I don't want to say like past lives because I don't really like know if I've ever like really felt that way or like believe in that as much or whatever, but it's just kind of like a weird where it's like there's history between the souls or the energy or whatever, and that's like why sometimes you connect with people more easily and some people you don't and whatever, because it's like you have these different, like when you meet someone and you're like, oh, I've known you and you're super familiar, and then they end up like being your husband or something, you're like, oh, it's because like, you know, like when people are like, oh, I knew right when I met her, and it's like, yeah, because the future already happened. So when you meet the person, you've already had like 50 years of being married to them, so you're super comfortable with them already. But I don't know, like that's just like something that I feel sometimes. It's like even when you meet a friend and like you're off like, you know, you're just like, oh, I know this person, like you're super familiar, and it's like because the experiences that you've had have already happened, so you're like, oh, this is my bestie, or this is my like whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. But like also with that, it's almost like it's soul contracts as well. Like
Yeah.
souls already agreed to like meet at this time, meet at this place, go through this, whether that's good or bad. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like my soul agreed to go through like a terrible breakup with somebody because that was meant to like lead me to X, you know, things like that. So yeah, no, 100%, absolutely. I do think that like we know, and that's where like trusting your gut and your instinct really comes in handy.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like your body knows, and like if so many people talk about like your brain is like so much more capable than what we're conscious of. So sometimes I feel like your brain and your body are picking up on so much more than you even know. So like sometimes you'll be like, oh, I feel weird right now, and like consciously you might not be like conscious enough to recognize or understand it because you haven't like really done the work to understand, but your body and your brain and everything will already know what's happening. Like even if you are denying it or not conscious of it, I feel like your brain like will pick up on the energy. And like I mean, even like I love reading about stuff that talks about like brainwaves. My whole job, like my true job, is measuring brainwaves, and I do it in a really logical way, but at the end of the day it's still finding a way to read the energy that comes out of your skull, which is crazy to think about. And then people want to deny the fact that like your thoughts hold so much energy, or that you can like emit an energy with no words, no anything, and other people can pick up on it around you. And I'm like, if you sit there on your phone and you can get a phone call and your phone rings and it's just random signals through the air, you just trust them and you pick up the phone, you answer, then how can you not trust that the energy that's coming off your brain, which is an incredible electric like generator, isn't picked up on by like everyone in the world, you know, or the people closest to you. You'd be having a conversation and saying something to someone, but they could still pick up on the things that are happening in your head if they're different. I mean, I don't know, but I think that's like why sometimes when people are lying to you, like you can sense something, you know, or like something's, you're like, I sense something's off, and it's like, well, maybe you trust that, you know?
Yeah, no, 100% trust that. And also it goes back to the point of us all being connected.
Yeah, it's so, yeah. I think that the idea that I've always been the most like into, or like the most pulled towards, is collective consciousness, because I just like believe it so heavily. And I feel like there's like those videos where like whenever you watch a nature documentary and there's the videos of the birds and they're all flying in one group and none of them are like bumping into each other, and and they're creating like these huge things, and I'm like, they can't do that without a collective consciousness of being aware of the group, because otherwise they can't collaborate like that. It's like a collective mind. It's so crazy. And I really believe that humans are like that, but we like deny it. You know, I think I was like, we should have a like massive normie on here and be like, what do you think? Because I'm like, do you think everyone experiences things in this way? Or are there people out there that experience things and they're just totally like normally, like processing normal, I mean, as in like preconditioned processing? Or is everyone like feels more?
I think that there are people who's like in their soul contract, they're not meant to like
And I know a few of them. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
And I'm surrounded by them every day.
I have to see them and talk to them. It's exhausting. Just kidding. That's a joke.
I do think some people are meant to gain that higher level of consciousness, and some people just aren't. So
really, I will have to beg to differ, because I don't believe that. I feel like every single person is capable, but again, it's like the level you want to go to. Like, I think everyone's provided with the opportunities to go as high as they want or as low as they want. Like, that's just how I see it. I'm like, I have all of the choices that, like, everyone has the choices, and you can continue to make low choices, or you can make choices that are different. And if you're fearless enough to break cycles, then you do get to elevate to that next path and learn new lessons and whatever. Like, to me, I just see everything, literally, it feels like, I don't want to say a video game, but it feels like an alignment thing. Like, I remember I was talking to my dad once, and this is very much like law of attraction, manifestation stuff, but I really believe that, like, anything that you wish for, the second you wish for it, is like, okay, granted, but the only way you can get there is by tapping into the version of yourself that would take the steps to get there. So it's like anything in the world is possible. Let's say you're like, I want to be a millionaire. It's like, oh, you want to be a millionaire? Okay, bet. There's a Amna, there's a version of me that is there and that it's done, but she does this. So you have to align with that version of yourself. What would that version of yourself do? So if you're making the decisions that like the druggy homeless Amna is going to make, then you're going to align with that version of yourself or that path. I'm just saying, like, you know, the decisions that you make impact it. So it's like all of these levels are available to you, but what are you aligning with? Are you aligning with the level of yourself where I'm going to see a pattern, recognize that a past version of me might have been stuck in this pattern and choose to break it and make a different decision than I would have made? Because if you have the pivoting decision, you're like elevating to a different timeline. But if you never make the decision because you're scared or because this feels familiar or because this is what I do, then you never get to pivot, you know? You do even think about like with
everything you're saying though is like coming from the like self-awareness of like collective consciousness, like the universe, like spirituality, but not like every single person thinks like that or like
has that awareness.
Yeah. So some people are truly like meant to be on this earth, and it's not a question of like everyone's capable or not capable. Like, of course, like I'm sure that like everyone who like came in contact with spirituality probably like was like, oh, I'm intrigued, I want to read about it a bit more, like because they're questioning religion or they're questioning like science, you know. But
Yeah.
like, and of course they're capable of it, but like also some people just are like, I actually don't care. Like I just
Oh, they don't want more.
I
Yeah.
just want to be on my little farm with my little farm animals,
Oh, me too.
and which is also like beautiful because that's connecting to nature. But maybe that's all they think about it. Like I just want to go to like the farm every day and just be a farmer and not
They
think,
don't want to elevate from that level.
yeah, not elevate and like, or maybe people are like, oh, I'm really happy with like being like a very like devout Christian and I don't question anything. Like I'm just happy with like God and Jesus. I'm happy with the Bible. Like I
Yeah.
don't like I don't really like there's
Whatever they
yeah,
hold.
there's nothing in me that wants to like learn about like quantum physics and like, oh, can I like manifest and things like that, you know? Maybe
Or
that,
maybe they do it in like a different path, a different version of
yeah.
understanding, different like language. Because I do feel like it's like differences in the language that explains the same concept as like how I've always felt about religion. I'm like, it's not really different concept. It's like we're just all describing like electricity in different ways or whatever. You know, it's like the concept exists and we're all like, oh, I'm understanding this concept of this thing that exists around me that I feel like exists, and like people just try to describe it or label it in different ways, and then that's what creates the whatever like issues.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, I agree. But also another thing that like another thought that was triggered by what you said about the farm, I'm like ultimately like what is the like, oh, I'm elevating, like other than like, okay, I'm like getting what you want or whatever. But outside of that, if I'm like at my highest consciousness, won't I just end up on a farm with animals doing whatever anyways? It's like I just think, or like I don't know, when you said that I kind of was like, I mean, what's the difference? Like I don't know if that what I'm saying
that
makes
was a
sense.
bad example. What if you're an accountant?
No, oh yeah, an accountant or like, like no, but I just mean like it's funny because I do get stuck in these cycles, which I watched a Leo Skeppy. I know like Leo Skeppy gets canceled a lot, but like he's Black Cat vibes, like he gets me. But he had an episode where he was talking about, and I remember talking to you about this, but he was talking about when you get so self-aware that like nothing matters, like you get so self-aware of like everything and you're getting all these like downloads and this information and you feel like super in tune with it to where you're like nothing matters, like your desire for it, because you're like nothing, like if I get all the money in the world, it won't matter. Like it just feels like nothing holds meaning, because it's like once you reach that point of like internal validation, like the only thing that matters is like the present moment and like feeling the whatever, like living your life. So you're like, I already have everything, like right now in this moment I already am, like the fact that I'm here is like it, if that makes sense. And then it like weirdly messes with your desire to want to keep going, because you're like lose your desire to like want more, because you're like, I know that when I get it, it's not gonna like, because sometimes like when we're chasing more in our life, or like you're like, I have this that I want and this that I want, and if I get it, you're chasing like something, right? Like you're either chasing like a validation, or you're chasing like this feeling of like accomplishment, or you're chasing something, and then once you realize like you're just, once you like understand why you're doing the things that you're doing, it almost like takes away from it. And he was talking about how to get like remotivated within that, because I feel like I hit that for a while where I was like so self-aware that I was like nothing matters other than just like, like why I don't need anything, like I just need like the bag on my back and the clothes on my whatever, like it just feels like you like, it's like the monks that like give up everything and just like live in the forest or whatever, and you're like, yeah, but at the same time, like I do want to be a functional human and I want all these other things. It's like a weird balance.
Yeah, I think that's also the problem, especially like in the spiritual community. Like when people are like so self-actualized that they kind of stop like functioning in society.
Yeah.
It's like you really do need that balance. Like you need to function, and you can also still be your like highest self functioning here. Like you can't just like, I mean you could if you wanted to, like, but you need to like probably like make work to make the money to like go to the forest, buy acres of land, etc., or like manifest.
Like engage.
Yeah, like you still need to engage to get to where you want to be. So
yeah, you don't have to like, or sorry, what were you?
Oh no, it's okay.
Okay, sorry. No, but like I do feel like that happens a lot with like overly spiritual, like, or I don't like anything that's like I don't, not like stereotypical, but the like, anytime someone's like so heavily identifies with anything, I think it like bothers me because I'm like, just because you're like, okay, I'm having these like spiritual thoughts and I'm on story, you don't have to like all of a sudden like get a tapestry and like put it up on the wall and like start wearing like tie-dye shirts and like smoking weed and like what, you know, like it's okay. Like you don't have to over identify with just, you don't have to fit the mold or anything. It's like, and I also think that's like ego, like that's like an ego thing where you're like, I found a community where I belong and it like validates me doing whatever I want to do that it validates, because in reality I'm like, self-actualizing does not mean like disengaging from society. If anything, it's like more engagement with the world, more experiencing of the world, more like stepping in to your responsibility of like being a part of the world, you know, instead of being like, oh, I disengage. And it's like, actually, like play with it, play with the energy, like experience the energy, engage with it, figure out what you can do, like test yourself, you know, like challenge yourself, go actually like, yeah, play with the energy. That's like how I feel sometimes about it. I'm like, just put things out there and see what happens. Like read a new concept and try it out in your life and see what changes, see what doesn't. Like that's, I feel like how you actually, like it should be like seeking of knowledge and seeking of like, you know, growth and stuff. I don't know. What do we know? We're just two girls. We're just two girls that have not had to chat yet.
Back to, let's see what chat has to say about like our guided conversation today. So you've talked a lot.
Did we ask a weird question?
Does it ask a question? It says hot take.
No, I was gonna say, should we ask chat like a weird question and be like, what's the purpose of life?
Yeah, I think we should ask chat. What were we saying earlier about? Oh, I also had another point. I had something to say. I agree with what you were saying about like religion, and the way I've always described it is that there is like one God, like one like all powerful being or all powerful energy, and like that like God, that energy has sent down multiple different religions or philosophies for people to follow because we're all different. So we're all going to resonate with different things. So literally that's just how I've always worded it, and it's the same thing that you've said too.
That's how I feel. Yeah, I'm like, it's all about like getting yourself to, because most of the like religious texts and stuff like all kind of preach the same like personal responsibility. I feel most of them are about like, you be kindness, you be whatever, like, and I guess that's like how I'm starting to view things, is I'm like, you are the example, and like when you align with that highest frequency of like whatever, which now it's shifting. For a really long time, early 2000s, everyone was coming out with like love is the highest frequency, and like, you know what I mean? I don't know if you know what I'm saying, but like I remember I'd like watch interviews, be like Kendrick Lamar, and he'd be like, love, like once you, like basically everyone getting to a point where like, if you, because most of the people I think that like really reach that like moment of like, oh, what really matters in life is like people that get everything that they want. So like if you're like in a struggle bus and you're like, I really want you chase, then you get everything that you want, that's when you like realize like whatever, and it like puts you into that state of being like, what actually matters in life, like what has meaning. If I get all the things that I want and I have everything, what truly is valuable in this world, if I can have anything. And then it always comes down to like love and like spreading love and whatever. And now it's shifting to like authenticity. Like a lot of like the things I see, everyone's like, the highest frequency is authenticity. It's like stepping into your most authentic self and your most whatever. I don't know if you've like noticed that shift, but I've been noticing it. So.
No, that is interesting actually. I'm not quite sure if I have noticed it. And I wonder what is the actual highest frequency. We can ask chat that, but I thought
what is the highest frequency question?
There is like, there is
labeling.
Yeah, there is a highest frequency, like a real one, and then I feel like there's one that people are just now trying to like pseudo label, because
I have that. Oh yeah, well no, I have that book that has them listed, and I think love is always like the highest one, like unconditional love and like detached love or whatever, which I think authenticity is up there. Like being truly, like authenticity, and then like truly, like being true, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, what were you gonna ask chat, or what did you say that chat was guiding us to say?
I actually think we should ask Chat, like, do we have free will or are things predetermined, and see what their answer is.
Dude, I think I've had this conversation with Chat before. I had a really like intense conversation with Chat, and it was like, there you go, Amna, asking the hard questions yet again. And I was like, help me. I don't think that it's healthy to like think too much about stuff like this all the time. I think it's healthy to do it in short spurts where you have like moments of epiphany that are really like important, and then they root like your values and your character and stuff. But I think you have to like let go of it sometimes and just function as like a normal human, because if you're always in that, it's like people that smoke all the time, you know, you're like lost in another world. It's not.
Yeah. Basically, it said what we said. It's just both.
Chat, stop copying us.
Honestly, it gave a really long-winded answer, but like example, imagine your life as a road trip with multiple possible routes. Some landmarks are predetermined, but you still, like the major life events, but you still get to choose how you drive, where you stop, and how you experience the journey.
Yeah. I mean, I really just think that that's it. Like, everything is like your subjective experience, and then you also have control over your subjective experience. Like, I don't know. And like the more we understand about like our brains and how they work, it's like they're computers. They're just like Chat GPT. Like, our brains function the same way that Chat GPT does. It's like a data inquisition thing where all the data gets input, but you didn't really get to decide what programs were put in or what information was put in, and the information is limited. It's not as unlimited with Chat. And then you can either run on that programming, or you can like start to, I guess, feed new programming and whatever. Yeah, like whatever. Like, you guys just don't get it. No, I mean, who's ever gonna, like, this conversation will never lead to a place where it's always like speculative convo where everyone's like, I think that this exists, and it's like, who really knows? Whatever you think exists.
But is the answer not just both? That way, like anyone who's like, I think everything's free will, it's like, but that's like literally not true, because like you said, things are, like we've both said, things are out of our control.
Yeah, it is.
If they're out of our control, then we don't have free will. And the person who's like, oh, everything's predetermined, like, well, that's also not true. Well, actually,
yeah, because you're like, I think they are predetermined. I mean, I think that like, no, I don't really think, I guess my idea is like, there are predetermined things for you, but you also can access or not. Like, I think that whether or not you do the thing, like, I think that like the things that cross your path may be predetermined. The things that, you know, but I still think you have the choice of what choice will you make. Like, you're still being given a choice of like,
but
you know what I mean?
The things that cross your path, but
yeah.
What if, but you're saying those are predetermined, but what if I'm choosing my path? So how is that predetermined if I've chosen to go down a different path?
I think that like whatever path that, it's kind of like the road trip thing that Chat GPT said, like whatever, like, okay, you might not stop in this city, but you're going to stop in the next one. At every city, there's predetermined things that exist within that door or within that path for you that you're going to cross. But again, yeah, the choice is, are you going to decide to live in this city for 3 years? Or are you going to decide to go here? Or are you going to, like, you get the decision of like what you access. But I think the things that are available to access for you are predetermined. That's kind of like my belief, but I'm like not, I mean, I'm not 100%.
No, that makes sense.
100% about anything.
Yeah, I think, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I chose to live in London for, like, my master's and everything, so it was predetermined that I meet, like, my partner. But if I chose to live, like, in another country, maybe it was predetermined to meet another partner.
Okay. That's so Gemini of you. But no, yeah. No, that is true, but I do think that, like, maybe versions of the love that you found exist in every I'm just kidding. I don't know. No, I really don't know. Like, we just don't know. Like, we just have to experience and find out. But I just think that, like, we are limitless, but also limited in more ways than we think. You know, like, you're only one person. You only live one life. So you only get, like, one path. Like, you're only going to experience each moment once, if that makes sense. Like, you're never going to be like this age at this time on this day. This day is fleeting. Like, every moment is fleeting. So, like, every experience is unique and extraordinary in itself. And then you just, like, choose your experience, I guess. I don't know. God, how would I know? Stop asking me these questions.
No, that makes sense. I feel like the one thing, but is it wrong of me to say the one thing we know for sure is that it's both?
No.
Okay.
Hold on. I can't tell if the lighting's getting weird. Sorry. I don't think that's wrong at all. I think that's, like, the answer. I think we cracked the code and it's both. Alright. But yeah, let's ask Chat a question that'll confuse it. I want it to tell us, it'll be like, oh, okay. Did my parents know I was gonna be born? I'm just kidding. Or like something about, like, I'm curious about, like, timelines, like past timelines versus, you know.
So there is a bit of a section here. It says quantum physics, which we talked about a bit. Quantum physics, on the other hand, suggests multiple possibilities exist until we observe them, meaning we're creating our own reality through choices. So, what specifically?
That's what I believe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying about, like, all the things exist, but you choose what you experience. Like I think, like, there's certain things that exist in the world for you, but you can choose whether to experience it or not. You can walk around with, like, blinders on and never look around and see certain things because you're not choosing to see it. That's why, like, affirmations work. And that's why, like, in that whole realm, like, they're talking about, like, affirmations and changing your subconscious programming, because whatever programming you have in your mind, whatever your beliefs are what is projected into your perception. Like, you can't perceive anything differently than what you've taught yourself to perceive it. So if you're like, this is green, this is green, this is green, you're always going to see it as green. But if all of a sudden you're like, actually, that's, like, whatever, and then you can start. So it's like you're teaching yourself. So when you do the affirmations, you're, like, reprogramming yourself to start see that. So if you're like, for example, if you walk around with the belief that you're, like, ugly, you're like, I'm ugly, nobody likes me, I'm unlovable. You have that belief, you're going to look around, your brain is going to be proving that to you. It's going to show you experiences like that. Because you're only going to see that because that's what you believe. Your brain won't let you be wrong. Like, it just does not, whatever. But then if you change your mind to, like, oh, I'm actually really attractive, like, people love me, I'm, like, a magnet, like, people just, like, oh my god, love to be around me, you're gonna start noticing, like, oh, this person was like this person is inviting me out, you're gonna start, like, noticing the things that feed your beliefs.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
so it's, like, what you...
And that's also just, like, that specifically is literally, like, basic psychology of self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, confirmation bias, yeah.
Yeah, like, if you are saying, like, oh, you're ugly, you're this and that, like, you're probably going to also just, like, behave and act in a way to where, like, you have less confidence, like, people can tell you have lower self-esteem, so no one's going to really want to, like, approach you. But the second you start, like, affirming, like, actually, like, I'm beautiful, I'm amazing, I'm a badass, etc., you're probably going to start acting like, okay, yeah, I'm this shit. People are going to recognize that shift in your energy and be drawn to you. So it's self-fulfilling prophecy. So now, like, you're getting asked out on the dates, you're getting invited to the parties, you're getting asked out on, like, to go play board games with friends or whatever, because of the way that you are presenting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, so everything is kind of just, like, a reflection of what you choose to perceive. That's why I'm like, doesn't matter ultimately what's true and what's not. The only thing that matters is what you tell yourself, what you want to believe to be true. Because anything that you believe to be true, you will see manifest into your life, because you are going to create the perception that creates that. If that makes sense? So I'm like, really, what, like, the truth, the objective truth, to me, I'm at the point where I'm like, the objective truth doesn't matter. What matters is what you choose to believe, because whatever you choose to believe is what you will see in your life. Yeah. So, like, I always tell my mom, I'm like, what's the harm in brainwashing yourself to believe that everything works out for you? Or that like, how could it possibly be harmful to brainwash yourself into believing that the life that you live is, like, meaningful, or that whatever, like, you want to believe that's positive, because in reality it's like if you choose to believe positively, your life will reflect that. So how do you benefit by you're playing yourself if you choose to subscribe to beliefs that go against that, because you're just like ruining it for yourself. Did we lose each other?
But no, absolutely, like 100%, I agree. I think, like, at the end of the day, like, we are put on this earth to literally have our own thoughts. So whatever you think, like, that is probably what will be your truth because it's your own thoughts. And then that will also help you along your path. So no matter if it's free will, predestined, whatever, you are working together with the universe to create your reality. And if you believe that that's true, then that's your truth. If you don't believe that that's true, then that's your problem.
Then you're a loser and you should get out of here. No, everyone is totally entitled to whatever they believe. Yeah, I'm like, if you know that your beliefs are guiding your life and, you know, becoming the basis of your action, just be open to changing your beliefs, be open to recognizing the power that you have to create whatever life that you want, and be careful with what content you allow into your life, and just recognize that your beliefs are going to create your thoughts and they're going to drive your actions and it's going to create your life. So just be conscious of who you're choosing to be every single day, and if you don't like it, then change it, because you can change it at any moment. And we could insert the reel of that one guy that was a male stripper and then he became a monk, and it was really funny. I'll send it to you. But we should put it in because it's such a good reel. Okay. And everyone's like, dang. But yeah, like, you can be whatever you want.
Yeah, be who you want to be. Be ARBIE.
Be what?
It's a ad, like, it's a commercial. Be who you want to be. Be ARBIE, Barbie girl. We can then plug in Barbie.
Yeah, the Barbie cash register. We plug in the cash register. You love Barbie. I thought Barbie. I like never. Actually, yeah, I did have Barbies. You know what's funny? Actually, let me stop because we need to end this. But
thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening. Please check out some of the links we have in our bio. We are linking to an affirmations app called I Am. If you're interested in it, we're linking to the philosopher that Amna mentioned, and probably a few more links.
Books and etc. etc. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Speak soon.